Okay, everyone. Well, welcome to Training Bytes. We're going to cover sales history reports today. And a PSA, it is spring daylight savings time starting this Sunday, so don't forget to set your clocks forward an hour. If you have any questions during the presentation, you can place them in the Q&A window on the top of your Teams toolbar. If you don't see a Q&A, go ahead and use the chat. We will have a Q&A at the end and answer any questions you have. So good morning, my name is Gina Thomas. I'm the training manager at C&K Systems and your hostess for Training Bytes, a digestible approach to counterpoint training. Joining me today is Marty Katz, a project lead here at C&K Systems. He'll be on hand to help answer questions as well. Good morning, Marty.
Good morning, everybody.
So you've probably noticed under sales history, there are a lot of reports. And what report shows what, and what reports should you run? What are some good loss prevention reports that are built into Counterpoint? And can existing reports be customized? So we're going to talk about sales history reports today and what each report shows. We're also going to talk a little more in depth about sales analysis by group, which is user designable to some extent. And then we'll look at some loss prevention reports as well. So this is just a screenshot of all the reports you see under sales history reports. So remember in January, we talked about point of sale reports. The sales history reports are a little more granular, a little more exciting. So there's a commissions report. I like the flash sales report. It gives you nice store totals and a simple, easy to read report. The management history report has several reports under it, including a pay code report, category report, and a tax report. The return tickets report is one of the loss prevention reports, monitoring your returns. Then we have tax history and tax exemptions reports, obviously tax reports. Price exceptions, these report on line price overrides. Another loss prevention report. Voided tickets report, I like to use that for loss prevention as well. These report on void afters, voiding a completed ticket. My favorite, hands down, sales analysis by group. That's the designable report. Sales history profit. It does give you profit expressed in retail dollars and percentages. Sales history by customer. Bottom shows you a customer and everything they purchased. Or you can run the opposite. Sales history by item by customer. Show me the item and all my customers that purchased that item. There's a sales history by sales rep report, so you can see the dollars that your salespeople are bringing up, how many units they sold. There's a productivity report, but it does require you using the time clock in Counterpoint in order to report on UPTs or DPTs, units per transactions, dollars per transactions. There's a price reductions report. This will show you sales and sales that were affected by price rules, kit components, line price overrides, and transaction discounts. There's also a miscellaneous kit sales report that'll show you sales at the parent level and sales at the component level. So let's just get into the software and take a look. After I minimize all my millions of windows. So again, we're going to focus on sales history and we're going to focus on reports. So commissions, for those very few of you that are using commissions, Counterpoint commissions are pretty simple. Give me a percentage of the retail or give me a percentage of margin. With any report you select in Counterpoint, sometimes there's a drop down at the top, which will reveal an additional report or reports. In this case, I can do a summary version or a detailed version of the commission report. This is a filter. All reports have filters. So if you don't want to see everything, or you only want to see a certain date range, please use filters. If you don't use date ranges in your history reports, you will get information from the dawn of time. I don't have that much information, so I'm not going to use my date filter. But if I preview it, this is just a simple summary commission report. And I'll just exit from that one. Now, this next report I like a lot, the flash sales report. It gives me, in a nutshell, my sales at the store level. Notice in most sales reports, when you click all stores, it combines the store figures. The flash sale does not do that. It will actually break out your stores. Your choices here are how big to make the report, 7, 10, 11 columns. This speaks to the fact that you can actually select the quantitative columns that you want to appear on the report. I usually stick to 7 because it fits nicely on 8.5 by 11 paper. A feature of flash sales is we can do comparative date ranges. In this example, this year versus last year. But when you have these comparative dates, you may choose any date range you like. It could be this month versus last month, yesterday versus the day before. When I'm looking at flash sales, I usually like to see yesterday. Now I'm going to leave mine at year to date because I don't have any sales for yesterday. But you can set it to yesterday permanently, that every time you call the report by using this dynamic date yesterday. Again, I'm just going to use year to date. In select columns, the only choices you have in select columns are quantitative choices, things that deal with numbers. So one thing that I like to see in my flash sales report are my sales. And if you notice under the available columns, there's lots of sales figures. This sales element represents net sales after discounts, before taxes. Something else that I like to see on a flash sales report is quantity sold. So I'm just double clicking on that from the available columns. And I also want to know how much it costs me to make the sales. Notice down here, I have 7 out of 7 columns selected. I can rearrange the way the columns appear on the report by moving up or moving down. This dollar rounding, I like to uncheck. So if I sold $25.32, I will see $25.32 instead of a rounded figure of 25. The quantity rounding only matters if you sell portions of a whole. I buy coffee by the pound, but I sell it by the half a pound, and I want to see that half pound on my report, not it rounded to a pound. I like the percent to totals as well. Ticket history line, store. These are filters. Maybe you only want to look at one store. Maybe you only want to look at merchandise sales from a certain category. When it comes to flash sales, I want to see everything. So I'm going to click on preview. There's my report, and I'll just make it a little bit bigger so you can see it. Maybe. There we go. Okay, so net sales, cost of goods. Cost, by the way, is average cost. Quantity sold, profit in dollars and percentage, number of tickets, and the average ticket. So again, just a nice, quick, easy to read report. Once you set these parameters, if you don't want to have to set them from scratch or select your columns from scratch every single time you want to run this report, you can actually come down here to options, save parameters, give the report a name. And I also like to give the report a description, maybe quantity sold, dollars, profit. Tells me what's in the report. And save. Now, if I want to recall that saved parameter in the future, all I need to do is just go to options and load parameters and pick my flash sales report, and all the columns will be set. The management history report contains several reports. There's an item category history, sales rep, store. The store history is okay. I like the flash sales better, a little more informative, and I have more control. Also tax code. So pretty standard. Something that a lot of people are always interested in is the pay code history. How did my customers pay for their transactions? How much of a particular tender did I take in a given time period? You can also do a comparative. Again, they can be any date range. You can do a summary version of the report or a detail. You can filter for a particular pay code or for a store. So if I preview this, it just shows me how much money I collected within a certain time period that I specified for each of these tender types. So it's not giving me any item detail. And I get that a lot. I want to know how my customers paid for this individual item. Counterpoint does not do that. I can run a detailed version, but again, it's not going to give me item detail. What it will give me, make this a little bit bigger so you can see it, it'll give me detail about the posting date. So it'll show me posting events and how many documents were in that posting event for that pay code. The return tickets report is one of the loss prevention ones. I'm going to come back to that. We have tax history and tax exceptions. They're both tax reports. The tax history report, you can either report at the tax authority, which is where you actually set your tax percentages, or you can view it at the tax code. Tax codes are where you group your authorities. You can have the report total a store. And I'm just going to run it summarized first so you can see how it looks. So here's the summarized version. I'll make it bigger. And you can see here's the tax code, the rule within the tax code, which is called the authority. You can see sales, normal amount to total taxable amount, and on and on. You can also run this report at a date and ticket detail. They're kind of the same though, very honestly. So a date detail or ticket detail, maybe you've got a question about one of your codes, it seems off, or the authority seems off, and you want to see how much tax was charged on each ticket. So if you preview, quite big at that point. So you can see each ticket, the sales, this is net sales, any non-taxable amount, taxable tax, on, and your total taxable amount, and everything has a total. The tax exception report, again, you might be doing a little research because your tax report seems off. And usually when your tax history report seems off, it's because somebody is overriding the tax at point of sale, whether they're changing the tax on the entire ticket, or they're removing a tax from a single line item, or they're changing the tax category on a line item. So if you want to see everything that's been going on, you can check all these switches here. Again, don't forget your date ranges. I'm not going to use any because I don't have that much data. Again, I'll make this a little bit bigger so you can see. Okay, so you can see this section is documenting tax overrides at the document level. This is documenting when you change the tax code on the ticket. This is line tax overrides where they're taking the tax off of a single item. And then line tax category changes where somebody is changing the tax category on a single line. Price exceptions and void tickets I'm going to cover at the end with returns. So now let's go into my favorite report here, because all these reports you see on this page, most of what you need can be accomplished under sales analysis by group. And unlike all these other reports, which is what you see is what you get, sales analysis and flash sales will let you pick your own quantitative elements. Now, speaking of customizing, a lot of times people say to me, well, I like this commissions report, but I need an extra field. Or I like this return ticket report, but I need an extra field. So when it comes to any of these reports except flash sales and sales analysis, we can customize those reports for you in Crystal. Flash sales and sales analysis, we cannot customize, but you can within Counterpoint. So if we go to sales analysis by group, the first choice you want to make for your report is how big do you want the report to be? Just like in flash sales, 7, 10, 11 columns. Again, I usually stick with 7. It's just a nice amount. Now the group by is full of reports that are already here. They're already made for you, but you can take them and make them your own. So if I use the group by dropdown, uh, usually when it comes to sales reporting, by and large, when I'm making reports, I stick to the actual sales reports, which are the ticket history line reports and ticket history. So ticket line level reports are typically going to deal with merchandise sales, and ticket history level reports are typically going to deal with summarized information, you know, maybe sales by day, sales by month, sales by hour, sales by customer. So I'm going to show you how to build a report using an existing report. I'm going to select the ticket history line item number report. So I want to see sales by item. Print defaults to top 10. This is helpful if you just want to see your top 10 sales, or maybe your top 11. It can be any number you like. Or maybe you want to look at your slow movers, so you choose your bottom. It could be any number you like, 11, 22, 100. I'm going to choose all. Print and order by. How do you want the report to arrange itself? By default, it wants to print an item number order, which is, okay, but it's a little more helpful if you can arrange the report by some type of quantitative value. My favorite 2 quantitative values are, say, quantity sold. In other words, the item that I sold the most units, make that pull to the top of the report. So I like that. And I also like sales. Now, lots of sales figures here. These are theoretical, full price selling. So I like this one the best. This is net sales after discounts before taxes. A feature of sales analysis by group, just like flash sales, is comparative date ranges. Again, any 3 dates. Doesn't have to be this year versus last year versus the year before. Whatever you like. On the store, if I do select all stores, then the figures from those stores will be combined. So I am just going to choose one store here. I'm going to choose my main. Select columns, just like in flash sales. I can select the quantitative columns that I want to appear on the report. So when it comes to reporting, I'm pretty simple. Show me my dollars, how much it cost me, how many I sold. So I'm going to show cost, and again, average cost. I want to move it up under sales. I'm going to find quantity sold. There it is. And maybe I'll move that up. But maybe I want to know, well, what would full price selling have been? Or let me see my full price selling minus my discounts to equal my net sales. So if you choose sales price 1, that's assuming your full price selling. This is what it rang up as. This is what it sold for. And what about the discount in between? So we'll get discounts from price 1. And I'll just put that under. So what did it ring up as? What was the discount? What was the net? Now notice my columns have turned red down here. So I have too many columns. I'm going to sacrifice a couple of things. I don't need 2 profit figures, and I don't really want to see the number of tickets. Up to you. Or I could just change this to be something wider. Again, I don't like the dollar rounding. I like seeing percent to totals. Filter, 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 in case I don't want to see everything. I'll go ahead and preview and make this a little bit larger. Okay, so you can see an item number and a description. Here's what the items rang up as at full price, which was 36% of all my full price selling. Discounts from price 1 equals net sales. So out of everything that I sold, in that time period, I can attribute almost 40% of my dollars that I collected to this item, the cost, how many I sold, profit, dollars and percentage, and the average ticket. And of course, if I go to the last page, I get my grand totals. If you, let me save this report. So you like the report, you liked all the elements, like you like all these columns that you selected. You can essentially take this report that you like all these columns that you selected, or maybe even have filters that you want to default to, and you can actually copy from it and modify it for another report or keep the same settings for another report. First, I'm going to save this report. So I'm just going to go to options and save parameters. I'm just going to call it item sales, give it a description, quantity, cost, etc. So now I have a saved report. Now I'm essentially going to copy from this report. And what I'm going to copy is the fact that I want the dynamic date to be year to date. I want the store to be the main, and I want these columns to be the same. So if I go back to the group by tab, if you have gridded items, I'll show you a good report to run for gridded items. There's actually two of them. There's the cell category, subcategory cell. I like the one under it a little bit better. This one tends to cut off some of the descriptive values within the grid, like the color or size values. This one does a better job of not cutting them off. So now just to look at this report, everything else is the same. It's my main store, it's year to date. It's the same column, show me full price selling, net sales, cost and quantity. And now I can just go down to options and save the parameters. So I can just call it gridded sales. And it always looks like you're overwriting an existing report. You're really not. You're actually making a brand new one. And so then I save. And let's go ahead and take a look at that. So nice report for your matrix items. And again, you see the description, the full price selling less the discounts equals the net. And at the end of the report, let me go to the page before. There's your grand totals. Sales history profit report. It's kind of a lofty title for this report. It's a nice report. I wish it had some cost values in it. It only shows retail values in profit expressed as a dollar or percentage. So up here at the top, you can run it summarized at category, vendor, or item, or you can get something very detailed. I'm going to do the detail version. What store do you want to look at? What date range do you want to look at? Filter, I don't want to look at everything, so either one of these two. To narrow down the return, I'm going to click on preview. And I'll make this a little bit bigger. What I do like about this report, if you have gridded items, it does break out your gridded item sales by color, by size. But you'll notice it's dealing with retail prices. And I can see the unit price, I can see the extended price, I can see the profit, which is just the difference between these two. Or I'm sorry, the difference between price and cost. So I think it's a little odd that this does not have a cost value that I can do a side-by-side comparison, but still, all in all, a decent report. Nice, quick at-a-glance information, easy to read. And again, if I set parameters here, or I set a filter that I want to be permanent when I run this report, I always want to look at my profit by item detail just for my apparel category. I could set that filter here, choose apparel. That does give you a nice breakdown of the grids. And then I just come down here to options and save the parameters or build it from scratch each time. Totally up to you. The sales history by customer, by item. Love this report. Again, filters here, decisions here, not too many decisions. Do you want a customer number or customer name? Name is probably a little more sensible. Here's a filter. Here's a filter. Here's where I can filter for date ranges if I'd like to. But I'll just go ahead and preview this because, again, don't have that much data. So you can see here, I'll scroll down a little bit. Here's my customer. And here's everything they purchased in the date range that I specified on a filter. And we'll go to the last page, see if we get any totals. Let's move that over. Here we go. And you do get totals at the end. Then we have the opposite. Well, show me the item and the customers that bought the item. This is probably really good for targeted marketing. So run the report. There's no decisions to make at the top. There are filters. I suggest you filter for a date range so you don't get everything from the dawn of time. And when I preview this, here's the item, and here's everyone that purchased the item and how many they bought. So again, great for targeted marketing. The sales history by sales rep. You can make this summarized or detailed. Your choice is up at the top or just how to arrange the report. This is where you can make it detailed by checking these switches. I'm just going to run the summarized version first. It's nice and clean, easy to read. So I'll make this bigger. So you can see my sales rep, how many tickets were created in that date range, sale lines versus return lines versus net sales, average cost, and gross profit. Now, if you want a little more granularity to the report, print the ticket information, print the item detail. You can even have a recap if you like. So if I go in here now, it's going to look a lot different. So you can see here's my sales rep, here's the ticket, and here are the items on each ticket. And of course, the sales, cost, and profit. And then here's the sale. I like the sales recap. This is pretty nice. If you just wanted the sales recap and nothing else, if you just unchecked everything, there's your sales recap. Okay, so pretty nice at a glance information. The sales rep productivity reports rely upon you using the time card feature in Counterpoint in order to measure units per dollar and dollars per transaction. So if you're not using this sales rep productivity is somewhat helpful, but not 100% helpful. So you can change the order by, what order do you want it to print in? You can have comparative date ranges. They can be any dates. You can even group it by store if you like. And then you can filter for a user or maybe for merchandise. I'm just going to leave my filters blank. So because I'm using the time clock feature in Counterpoint, I can see my sales per hour and my quantity sold per hour in that date range. So if I'm not using the time clock, I can still see sales and I can still see quantity sold, but I'm not going to see hours worked or sales per hour or quantity sold per hour. The price reductions report will show you sales in this date range that you specify. I'm going to run a summarized version of the report first. This is the filter. I'm going to go ahead and preview. So this is showing you how many were sold at the category level. It's summarized at the category level. I've got some items that are not attached to a quantity or a category. That's why this line is blank. What the full price selling was before any discounts. Temp markdown represents price rules that affected that category. Kit components, thereby, essentially reducing the price for that item. Any alternate unit sales, price override. These are line price overrides, things that you do on the fly at point of sale. This user discount column means transaction discount, a discount off the entire ticket. Now you can run this, at a much more detailed level as well. So maybe you want to see some item detail. Maybe you want to see some store details. And so I'm just going to preview, and again, same date range. Okay, so now I can see at the item level, within this category at the item level, sold, full value, price rule, kit component, alternate unit, line price override, part of a transaction discount. And I even get totals at the bottom. So not a lot of discounting going on. Thank you, sales associates. The miscellaneous kit sales report, for those of you that use miscellaneous sales kits, you can run this report two ways. One with the component view, the items that compose the sales kit and their sales, or you could run it at the parent view, the parent item and the parent item sales. Again, date range, filter, go ahead and preview. So what I don't like about the parent level report is it doesn't give me a description of the parent item. It's just numbers, and then I might have to go look it up. But if you run this at the component level, you will get descriptions for the components at least. So if I go to component view and preview, make this a little bit bigger. So it is showing you the component item and description, but not the parent. The parent's just getting an item number. Okay, let's look at some built-in loss prevention reports. We have returns, voided tickets. I think these two reports should be run on a regular basis to kind of figure out what's normal in your environment, along with price exceptions. So I'm going to start with return tickets. And in case you don't know, the most common way people steal from you, your own people, by the way, is bogus refunds. Bogus refunds typically to their own credit card or to their friends' credit cards. So you really want to keep an eye on your returns. You can decide the order of the report. Maybe you want it in store order. I always enable item detail because if there are bogus refunds going on, people tend to have favorite items they like to return. And the same with show payment detail. Again, if you have a lot of history, make sure you filter for history. I'm not going to filter for any dates because I don't have that much data. And so in my report here, what I like to focus on is right at the very end on this report. In that date range, there were 13 tickets with a return. And so month after month after month, 10 to 13, that might just be like, that's what's normal. That's what I usually see. But all of a sudden it spikes, it goes up to 20. So what's going on? A big increase in business, maybe a run of defective merchandise, and then you could analyze the items that were returned, or maybe something more nefarious. So keep an eye on your returns and what's normal with returns. The same is true of voided tickets, if you even allow it. Some people don't even allow void tickets, but this void ticket report will show you tickets that were voided after they were completed. And again, you want to keep an eye on, what's normal here. And you have the same choices as you do with the returns. There's an order by, you can order by store. I would look at item detail and I would look at the payment detail. And of course, don't forget to filter for a date range. And I'll make this bigger. And again, I'm going to go to the last page because I'm really interested in the bottom line with these reports. So I can see in that date range, there were 11 voids. So I might find month after month after month, 10 to 12 voids are pretty common. That's the norm. But then all of a sudden it spikes to 20 or 18 or whatever. So what's going on? Maybe we have a new person and they're getting ahead of themselves, or maybe not. Price exceptions, this is to find out if people are giving away your product. You allow price overrides, for example. It empowers your salespeople to make decisions and get product out of the door, but we want to make sure they aren't deep, deep, deep discounting. I can look at all stores. I can filter on a single store. If you ever leave the store filter blank anywhere in Counterpoint, it means all stores. I can filter here for ticket history and a date range. I can go here and filter for certain merchandise. And here's what the report shows me. So I can see the salesperson, the item description, the price override reason if I'm using them, what the item rang up at, what it was sold for, extended values, and then the difference between the retail and the sale price expressed as a percentage or a dollar amount. Okay, so that's sales history reporting in Counterpoint. Again, my favorite is the sales analysis by group. A limitation is that we cannot customize that report. Remember, same thing with flash sales. Okay, let's come back to the slideshow. So hopefully you learned, or we'll see in your recording and for review, the data that's returned with each report, how to design a sales analysis by group report and save it and recall it. And then, a couple of loss prevention reports that are built into Counterpoint that you should run on a regular basis to establish norms. I always appreciate your feedback. On Friday, when you get a link to the video, there will be a survey attached. It's a happy face, sad face thing. You can remain anonymous. You can also share feedback and topic suggestions, or you can go right to our website and fill out the survey today, www.cksystem.com/training bytes survey. Next month, April the 3rd, we're going to talk about a feature that I don't see a lot of people using, but it is a really cool feature. It's called drop ship customer orders. What a drop ship customer order allows you to do is take an order for a customer of an item that's out of stock and not coming in for a while, and have the vendor ship that product directly to the customer instead of back to your store, so that the customer has to make a return trip to pick up the product. So this is a nice convenience feature, is that you can place an order for a customer, vendor ships it directly to the customer. So make sure you join me and sign up for April 3rd. If you want custom training tailored to your business, you don't want your data, which makes more sense to you than my golf store, give me a call at extension 3, email me training@cksystem.com and request some time. And with that, we'll go ahead and look in the Q&A, Marty.
All righty. So Awilda, good morning, Awilda, has a couple questions. One I haven't answered yet. So the first one was about unposted sales. And she thought that the flash sales report was about unposted sales. But
What
the
say you,
unposted,
Marty?
so I say that's a sales and that's a point
Thank you
of
for
sale
calling C&K
report.
Systems. This is Amber. How can I help you?
Well, I don't know how that happened.
Okay, Amber, I don't know why you're in our call.
I don't either, but you are well. I'm going to mute her. Oh, she's leaving.
Okay,
But thank
okay.
you, Amber. All right, so go
I
ahead,
was like,
Marty.
whoa. So that is a point of sale report, and it's under unposted sales analysis, and it's like a twin of the sales analysis by group report.
Yeah, and that's
And
here under reports, and it's called unposted sales analysis. And Marty's right, it's like the twin of the sales analysis by group, except it's unposted, hence the name unposted sales. And you have the same choices, columns, reports that are already here that you can select and customize, document header summarized, document line more merchandise driven, but the same reports are here. There's that item number report, here's the gridded report. So good question. So flash sales, anything in sales history, anything here is going to be posted. There's nothing unposted in this module. Okay, Marty, any other questions?
The second question I hadn't had a chance to look at yet, so we can all look at it together. The returns report, can you filter by associate and filter by payment type? And if I
I'm
had
gonna
to answer off the top of my head, I'd say you can filter by sales rep, but you
I'm
cannot
thinking the same thing.
filter by pay code
I'm gonna
because
check
pay
that.
code is not part of the filter there.
Yeah, user. Yeah, you can filter by sales associate, but pay code is not part of this filter. Let's just go take a look just to make sure Marty and I aren't. No pay code. Something you could do, and this is true in any report in Counterpoint, if you're looking for a specific value, you could always use these binoculars. And if the value appears on the screen, it's searchable. So if I just want to search all my cash returns, I could just type cash in the find and then just go and scroll through all my cash returns. So you could do that.
There's one more I'm thinking of that we could do under pay code history. Can we filter so that the amount is less than 0?
Oh, that's a good one. Let's see. So here I'm in pay code
No.
is. Nope. Okay, never mind. Save me
Oh,
the
but
trouble. I
wait,
appreciate it.
wait, wait,
Oh,
wait,
wait.
wait, wait. Number of pay-in lines, number of refund lines is more than 0.
Okay, so
Would that do
number
it?
of refund lines is more than 0.
Yeah, it didn't
Going
return
with,
anything.
yeah.
I'd have to play with it. If I find
You
anything, Awilda,
selected
I'll
less
send it to
than.
you.
You had selected less than. Select more than.
Thank you. Good eye. I was making sure you were paying attention. Oh, look at that. So if
Okay,
we
so we
select
have a
more
date.
than, yeah.
So it'd at least tell you what date to go look at. That's the decode. You're quite welcome, Awilda. All right. Anything else? Any other questions out there? Let's take a look at the Q&A. I didn't see anything in Q&A earlier. Nope. Still nothing there.
I'm checking too to be another set of eyes for you, Marty.
Appreciate that. Oh,
Hey, not a problem. Yep, you're right. The last thing in there is from January.
sales analysis. Can you have on hand and sales on the same report? Sales analysis by group report.
Oh,
I think that's a merchandise analysis report.
that is correct. So if you want to see, sales history reports only look at the data type of sales. Sales history doesn't care about purchasing, receiving, on hand. Anything in sales history really only cares about sales. So if you want to see on hand and sales side by side, that is a merchandise analysis report. We did that a session on that last month. So you can refer back to the recording for last month that will go over merchandise analysis reports and creating a side by side on hand and sales report. Or if you don't want to watch the video, log a support ticket. We'll help you out. Okay. Any other? Oh, you are very welcome, Awilda. Hey, I don't see
Going
anything else, Marty.
once.
Do you? Oh, grid it up. Okay. So that's a good question. And Awilda, I assume you're asking on-hand sales for gridded items. Now, of course, in sales history, we can see the sales of the gridded item broken out by color and size. In merchandise analysis, the on-hand and sales is at the style level, not the color and size. But there is a report and it's called Inventory Reports. Again, this was in our last recorded session, if you want to refer back to something. I think it's a consolidated grid or the inventory grid overview. I want to go with the inventory grid overview. Yeah, this is the one that I like. It's called the inventory grid overview. So you see your on hand, on PO, your available, your min, your max, your cost, your quantity sold, your retail sales. So that would be the report to run for gridded items for sales and on hand. Oh, you're welcome, Awilda. Yeah, take a look at that video, or like I said, just go ahead and log a support ticket. We're happy to help you out.
Okay. And very good.
Okay.
For those of you who didn't get enough this morning, we'll be repeating it at 1 Eastern. Is that right, Gina?
That is correct.
Okay.
Good times. Okay, everyone, thank you for your time. Catch you at the 1 o'clock if you want to come to the 1 o'clock. If not, I'll see you on April the 3rd.